Nearly 600 people became victims of the cyclone in Mozambique. The consequences of the tropical cyclone affected about 970,000 people. Tens of thousands of people are receiving humanitarian aid. The number of victims of tropical cyclone Idai in Mozambique rose to 598 people. About it reports PACE with reference to the National Institute of Disaster Management, INGC. It is noted that the number of victims is more than 1.6 thousand people. In total, the consequences of the cyclone in Mozambique affected about 970,000 people. Currently, more than 32,000 families receive humanitarian aid. Local authorities expect that the number of dead may exceed 1,000 people. Recall, tropical cyclone Idai struck the southeast coast of Africa in mid-March and affected the territories of Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi. In Mozambique, the city of Beira suffered the most as a result of the disaster. At the same time, the total number of people affected by Cyclone Idai in Africa has grown to 1.85 million people. The hurricane in Moscow resulted in human casualties. Mostly people died under fallen trees. 6 people died in Moscow because of the hurricane. This is reported by the Russian media. 1 person died on Kirovogradskaya Street, 1 on Jawaharlal Square, 1 on Andreevskaya Embankment, 2 more on Kedrovaya Street, and 1 near the metro station University. At the All-Russian Exhibition Center, a tree fell on a 26-year-old girl who died of her injuries. Also on Novomariinskaya Street in the southwest of the city, a tree crushed a man. According to preliminary information, he survived but could not get out on his own. Rescuers were sent to his aid. The hurricane in Moscow continues. Forecasts of forecasters are still disappointing. The earthquake in Albania was the strongest in 30 years. Residents left their homes in fear. Several earth tremors have been recorded in Albania. The strongest in the capital Tirana, their magnitude reached 5.8 points. The epicenter was located near the port city of Durrës, about 60 kilometers northwest of Tirana. The magnitude of the 3 subsequent tremors was 5.1, 4.7 and 4.8. Almost 300 residential houses were damaged, with cracks appearing on more than 20 of them. Some cars were destroyed due to falling debris. There are problems with electricity and water supply in Tirana, Durrës, as well as in the western and central parts of the country. Many residents of the capital cannot get home as buildings are still being examined by experts. One of the most important tourist destinations in Europe, the island of the Canary Islands archipelago Tenerife, covered a terrible fire. There was the largest fire for a couple of decades. The north of the territories of Spain began to burn on Tuesday evening due to drought, provoked by abnormal heat. The fire cannot be localized for several days. Firefighters did everything possible to save nature and people's homes. It is noted that the potential danger threatened 8,000 people in 8 municipalities of the island. For them as early as Tuesday announced a forced evacuation. The epicenter of the fire covered the mountainous area near the municipalities of Arafo, Candelaria, as well as the east and west of Lower Otava. Overnight, some progress was made in extinguishing the fire in these areas. But during the day, the hot weather poses additional risks for firefighters. The Canary Islands have been suffering from severe drought for the past few years, as has much of mainland Spain. It is noted that this is due to abnormally low rainfall in these territories. The norm of recent years has been below average. The fire, which has engulfed the forests of Tenerife, is considered the largest in the last 40 years, emphasized Clavijo. More than 60 earthquakes have occurred in Congo amid volcanic activity. At least 61 earthquakes have occurred in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, within 24 hours amid volcanic eruptions, Agence France Presse report citing local seismologists. According to the report of seismologists, the earthquakes are associated with the ongoing movement of magma in the area of the volcano Nyiragongo. It is noted that a few days ago the frequency and magnitude of earthquakes were even greater, but in the last 48 hours began to decline. Last Saturday, the Nyiragongo volcano, located near the city of Goma in North Kivu province, erupted in the DRC. According to a government spokesperson, more than 10 earthquakes were recorded in the area following the volcanic eruption. According to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, more than 30 people have died, and 40 are reported missing. DRC President Felix Tshisekedi said on Saturday, as local publication Actualite wrote, that the volcanic eruption in the city of Goma had destroyed about 5,000 houses. Earlier on Saturday, the DRC's Communications and Media Ministry reported low-intensity volcanic activity on the northern slope of the Nyamuragira volcano. The volcano is located in the eastern part of the country near the city of Goma and next to the Nyiragongo volcano. Night eruption. A bird's-eye view of a volcano in Iceland. The Fagradalsfjall volcano, about 40 kilometers from Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, was thought to have been dormant for 6,000 years. On March 19, it began to erupt. This was preceded by a series of more than 40,000 small earthquakes recorded on the Reykjanes Peninsula over the past 4 weeks. A 500 to 700 meter long fissure has formed at the eruption site, from which lava up to 100 meters high is spurting. The spectacular nighttime outpouring was filmed from a drone. More than 2.7 thousand people have been evacuated in Indonesia due to the eruption of the Lewotolo volcano, Tempo newspaper reported, citing the Regional Disaster Management Authority, BPBD. The Lewotolo volcano, located on the Indonesian island of Lombok, threw ash to a height of 4,000 meters on Sunday. According to experts, the eruption lasted about 600 seconds. The Indonesian Center for Volcanology and Geological Risk Reduction recommended local residents and tourists to refrain from any activity within a radius of 2 kilometers from the volcano. According to the publication, a total of 2,782 people living at the foot of the mountain were evacuated because of the volcano's eruption. The head of the BPBD regional office said that representatives of the national police and military personnel assisted in the evacuation of people. The height of Mount Lewotolo is 1,018 meters. Indonesia is part of the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, a powerful tectonic fault. The plate forming the bottom of the Indian Ocean is squeezed here onto the Asian plate, of which Sumatra is a part. The accumulated energy is often released in the form of tremors of gigantic force and the strongest volcanic eruptions. Ecological disaster in Kamchatka. Marine animals died in Kamchatka due to water pollution. The Environmental Prosecutor's Office and the Investigative Committee organized inspections. Samples were sent to Moscow. Surfers were the first to pay attention to the situation. They noticed that the water at Kalaktersky Beach changed color. In addition, the surfers said that their eyes were swollen and there was irritation on the skin. 9 people, including a child, went to the doctors. Medics diagnosed them with chemical burns of the cornea. All of them visited the Pacific coast and came into contact with the water. Specialists detected an increased content of oil products and phenols in the water. The Environmental Prosecutor's Office started an inspection. Dead marine animals were found on Kalaktersky Beach, on Bolshaya and Malayalajerni and in Babu Bay. Local residents were advised to limit visits to the beach. Samples of sand, water and animal samples were sent by plane to Moscow for analysis. The authorities are still considering 3 reasons for the incident: man-made pollution, natural phenomena and seismic activity. A special working group has been set up in the region. Scientists have been involved in the research.